Welcome everyone. In today's session, I'm here to discuss what hybrid identity is and how you can achieve this with Azure Active Directory. Let's try to understand this with an example. Say there is a company called IT Simplified in which they have on-prem Windows 80. They have business application and they have a user called Shivam who is accessing these applications. Now, as a company, they just can't tear down their on-prem infrastructure, but at the same time, they're going through cloud transformation in which they have adopted, say, Office 365. They're using Exchange Online. So as an IT head, you have this option of creating Shivam's identity right from the scratch in the cloud. But this is not the way things are done in organization, and that is where hybrid identity will come into play. That with the same user password, they should be able to access both their on-prem application as well as cloud applications. And in order to achieve this, there are a couple of tools that Microsoft provides, which is free and that can be utilized and implemented for your on-prem environment. And the name of the tool is AD Connect. But what are the three authentication options available that you can utilize to achieve this hybrid identity? The first option is password hash synchronization, in which in this case, Shivam will be able to use the same username and password that he's using for accessing on-prem application to log on to those cloud application, which is supported by Azure Active Directory, and their experience is seamless. Now you can also implement single sign-on, so when Shivam is trying to access, they don't have to put their password over and over again. With one-time password, they will be able to access all the applications that had been assigned to it. That is what password hash synchronization is. And the important thing to consider, remember here is that in this case, the authentication is happening in the cloud. That's one option. The second option is password or pass-through authentication. In this case, very similar to the first option, your password is synced from on-prem to the cloud, but rather than the authentication happening in cloud, in this case, the authentication is happening or validation is happening against your on-prem Windows Active Directory or your on-prem domain controller. The question arises why you want to use this or a password hash synchronization. Maybe there is a requirement in which you want to enforce your on-prem Active Directory security policy and password. In that case, maybe you want to use this option or password hash synchronization. Say, for example, also you have this requirement in which you don't want to give access to users outside the business hours. So if your business hours is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that policy that you have on-prem Windows Active Directory, that should automatically kick in, and that person should not be able to log in if they're trying to log in, say, for example, 11 p.m. in the night. That is the second option. And the final option is Federated Authentication. In this case, you might have implemented in some of the other trusted authentication methods such as Active Directory Federation services, or maybe the native Azure Active Directory options does not fully support your requirements from the organizational point of view. Maybe the users, they are using smart card or certificate, or you have on-prem MFA servers that you want to use. So in that case, maybe you can use Federated Authentication. But regardless of any of these options that constitute as an hybrid identity, for example, in this case, Shivam is the user. Now, from the user experience perspective, as I said, that you have seamless experience, you have single sign-on, and optionally, you can also enable password write back. So in case the password is changed in the cloud, it will be synced back on-prem. So this gives you an idea about what hybrid identity is and how you can achieve this with Azure Active Directory. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.